In Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 to 20, Jesus himself identifies how God knows us. And it shows us that there is an evidence in our lives that will most assuredly declare to God who we really are. And when we understand what the manner of this evidence is, we ourselves, if honest with our own souls, will understand who we really are, and we will be able to see ourselves exactly as God sees us. So in Matthew chapter 7 from verse 15, he says, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." And so Jesus is saying, do not look at a person's appearance. Do not judge simply from the external, because the external things can be doctored, they can be shielded, they can be guarded. The external things can be pretentious. But there is an aspect of our nature that we cannot fool other people with. There's an aspect of our life and our existence that really reveal who we are. So while outside or externally we may be pretentious in how we express ourselves to persons, he is identifying that pretentious display, that pretentious effort can be circumvented by looking not at what they say, but as we read earlier in Matthew chapter 7 verse 21 to 23, what they do. So the pretension can be circumvented by not listening to what they are saying, but what they are doing. And Jesus says in verse 16 of Matthew chapter 7, "Ye shall know them by their fruits." So who we are, beloved, is based upon the fruit of our lives. Not what we say, but what we do, how we live. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, a good tree bringeth forth good fruit. We do not get apples from a grapevine. We do not get mangoes from a coconut tree. And so the fruit on the tree of our lives is what reveals who we really are, and this is how God knows us. And verse 17, he says, "Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit." And here Christ draws a line in the sand, and this is where we have to be completely honest, totally honest with our own souls. Every good tree only brings forth good fruit, but corrupt trees bring forth evil fruit. And he repeats the concept, the principle in verse 18. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. And so this is an absolute statement. Good people are good. Evil people are evil. The fruit on the tree of their lives is a manifestation of who they really are. When people say evil, deliberately evil things against you, to malign your character, to pull you down, to make you feel less than a human, and then they try to temper it after the fact by saying, "I didn't mean to." Oh yes, they did. If they did not mean to, they would not have done it. And so this is how Christ wants us to have a perfect balance, a righteous balance, righteous judgment. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. So how does God know us? He knows us from the fruit of our lives. And so, beloved, let's think critically in real world experiences regarding this very important principle. A bad person can actually do good things and still have a bad or a reprehensible character. But the fruit on that person's life, even though they may do temporarily something that is good, the fruit of their life shows who they really are. A good person can make mistakes, and when they see that they have made an honest or a genuine mistake, they seek to deliberately remedy those mistakes and remove the possibility of recurrence, because excuses and indiscretions do not fit in how they see themselves. So a good person is good because of their intentions, because of their motives, and because of their habits. So how do you know whether a person is good or bad? How do you know whether you are good or bad? By your fruit that is produced on the tree of your life. So how we are every day is essentially who we are. How we live is who we are. How we think, how we feel, how we speak, how we live, what we habitually do, beloved, how is who we are. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our habits, they make up our character. And our character is who we are, and our personality is how we express our character. And this is why Jesus says that the only person that is good is God, because God is organically, fundamentally, and essentially good through and through. He does not change. He is good yesterday, He is good today, He is good forever. His goodness is constant. It is not temporary. It is not fitful. It is not based on people, places, situations, circumstances, and things. It is His character. It is not a transient state of being that He assumes from time to time. In Him, beloved, there is no variableness, no shadow of turning. He is constant and dependable as the laws of nature or as the law of gravity. And this is why we know that God is never a tyrant. He is never unjust. He is never unloving, because the fruit of the expression of His life is always good. His thoughts, His feelings, His emotions, His habits, they are always good. This then is the transformation that He as God is seeking to bring us to, having set the example first in His self, in His character, in His personality as who He is. So God is bringing us up to that state of consistency, constancy, dependability, beloved. And Jesus is seeking to purify the tree of our lives, that we will produce constantly sweet fruit despite rainfall or drought or the changes of the seasons. Therefore, our expressions, our thoughts, our feelings, our habits, our enjoyments show where we are in this process of Him grafting His nature into our nature by fertilizing the tree of our lives with His word and watering it with His Spirit and establishing this nutriment that He has blessed us with through trials and tests, establishing growth through trials and tests in our personal experience. So, beloved, if we do not daily and consistently fertilize our souls by reading God's word, the fruit of our lives will reveal our inconsistency. And instead of the fruit produced being good, it will have spots, it will have blemishes, or it would be attacked or affected by the insects of mediocrity and vice in our experience. So if we are not daily receiving a consistent supply of the life-giving water of God's Spirit, our commitment to God will be weakened, and we will cast the fruit of our relationship with Christ off of the tree of our lives, just like how fruit trees cast their fruits in droughts. So this is why so many are flaky in their commitment to Christ. This is why so many easily backslide, because they are not watering their souls, and the tree of their life cannot sustain the burden of bearing Christian fruit, because the moisture from the Spirit of God is lacking. Dry trees cannot keep fruit, beloved. So we remain steadfast and sure in our commitment to Christ through the testing process of trials, when we continually feed our souls with the fertilizer from God's word and allow our souls to be watered through His Spirit. This is how we stand the test, by not giving up when the hard, challenging times come. So who are you on the inside? Do you pay attention, real attention to your thoughts? Do you hear yourself speak? What are you saying? What do you really find pleasure in? What excuses are you making for your own selves? What doubts about God have you unconsciously embraced and believe? Your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, what you allow to enter the avenues of your soul, produce the fruit on the tree of your life. This is how your fruit is forming. What fruit are you producing that God registers as who you really are? Challenges, beloved, trials, tests reveals the type and quality of the fruit of your life. Is it the right type of fruit? Is your fruit the right quality for the society of heaven? This is the Word of Life with Andre Knight.